This Sega Ages collection includes games from the Sega Mega Drive or Genesis, with 2 Disney titles from Mickey Mouse Castle of Illusion and Quackshot, starring Donald Duck, that would release on the console itself in 1998 but only in Japan. And this collection would contribute to a long running element within this Sega Ages series that would work all the way during this generation, even up to the next generation, even with the likes of the Sony PlayStation 2 console, which saw a multitude of games in the catalogue to be brought back to life, re-envisioned or even reimagined or remade in many cases for more modern systems of that generation. But it would also give fans an opportunity to play some of these classic games from way back, either for nostalgic reasons or even to introduce players to the games for the first time. And back in the day, Castle of Illusion and Quackshot were 2 of the most popular games to be released on the Sega Mega Drive, so it's of no surprise that they would be packaged together as part of this collection. And from having spent time playing the games themselves, I did play the originals on the Mega Drive themselves years ago, but there's very little in terms of difference with regards to these versions. The audio might be slightly different in some cases regarding some of the sound effects, which was usually a thing that would have happened with regards to the games being ported over to this series on the Sega Saturn. But realistically, when you compare the 2, there is very little difference. I can't really tell the difference, if I be honest. Now, there are other games that were released or remade that were released on the Sega Saturn that did have differences, but there's very little to tell here. There will be slight variations, probably more so in the visuals, as while they are based off of 16-bit games, the one thing the Saturn did really well was its 2D elements with regards to ports or arcade games. If anything, it was a powerhouse for 2D console games, and realistically the best on the market at that time. Well, really, to be honest, when we look at it even today, the Sega Saturn is still considered as probably the best console to play 2D games out of anything that's currently out there, which is mad to think, as of recording this video, that the console is now 30 years old, that it can still produce quality experiences like this for games that were released during that generation. They still look really good, they still sound great, they still play great, so this is just an example of that. So even to go back into the backstory of both of these games, with Castle of Illusion, Mickey Mouse's girlfriend Minnie is kidnapped, which sees you having to explore a large castle that takes you through many different portals into different worlds that you have to complete objectives in order to gain diamonds or crystals, which you'll then need to use in order to ward off the evil witch that has kidnapped Minnie so that you can save her. And for many, this is considered as one of the greatest games of that generation. A very solid game with great graphics, great sound effects, a great soundtrack with lots of replay value. It is a very fun game, and the same can be said with Quackshot, that originally released in 1991 on the Mega Drive, that sees you take on the role of Donald Duck himself, along with the help of his nephews, as you traverse different areas around the world, from streets to forests, caves, pyramids, to recover Uncle Scrooge's precious dime coin. That'll give you access to a variety of fun and useful weapons and gadgets in order to complete your objectives. Although the game is quite tricky, as with both entries in this list. They are tough games, they're not easy games to master, but a lot of these older games genuinely were very challenging anyway. If you're like myself and grew up in this generation, let's just put it this way, you'll understand, as they were very tough. But even to go back and play these games now, they're still a lot of fun, they're still just as easily accessible, while not easy to play per se, but you can enjoy them for what they offer. And I would highly recommend that you do try them, if not on the original Mega Drive editions, but definitely on this version if you can gain access to it. It's a great way to relive that nostalgia, or even if you've yet to play them for the first time, you'll see what all the fuss is about. Definitely worth a try. And with that being said, this here is just a small collection of what was possible with the Sega Ages series that would go on to release a load of other games from all of the other consoles from Sega that we would then see over the years, which we will cover more in this next video that will look at even more of these games in great detail.